Good morning and welcome. You're listening to Grilling Guys on the Grilling Guys Talk Network. Hey, it's the weekend. Man, these weeks are just flying by, Bob. We're in the next to last weekend, right before the holiday. Going to have the official summer kickoff in a week. And I tell you what, Mother Nature is growing my grass, brother. I am to mow twice a week, and it looks beautiful. It looks like a carpet right now, but I've never mowed the carpet so much as I'm doing right now. But I love spring. I'm Jop. He's Barbecue Bob. What's cooking, baby?
Hey, thanks, buddy. And welcome to the smokiest show on the airwaves. Mr. Conrad, our producer, doing a great job as usual. He sends this thing out to our podcaster at the end of the show. So if you don't always get to listen, you can go to Apple Podcasts and various other platforms. Just punch in The Grillin' Guys or do it on your search bar on your phone, and we'll send this baby right to your phone or laptop, and then you won't miss a week.
Not a thing, man. Not a thing. And
if you listen to us, you might not miss
right.
it.
Yeah. So this week was pool open week. Right. I don't want to bring it down, but it's just always a lot of work. It's coming together okay, but I'm just not. I don't have clear water yet, and that's the bane of my existence. If the thing's going to be open, I want to see the bottom of the pool like there's no water in it. So we're getting there, but
Well, Jop, when I was repping for Grills and Smokers, I was always at HPBA shows, and I used to see this fella walking around and found out he had a bunch of barbecue books and all kinds of other stuff going on. His name is Steven Reichlin, and, of course, we've had him on the show before. He's got a new book out called Project Griddle. Steven, welcome to the show, brother.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Of course, you're a legend. We try and glean. We're kind of coat hangers or whatever they call it, but happy to siphon off your wake.
Okay.
So, Stephen, we've got your barbecue Bible, and I use it a lot. But this griddle thing, I've had just the regular walk-up griddle that has the gas fired, right? That's the one I have at home. I've had one that goes on my charcoal grill, which is just the steel plate. But this thing, these have become very, very popular. And so tell us what inspired the book.
Well, actually, what immediately inspired the book, excuse me, was one of those luscious, gorgeous, hyper-marbled A5 Wagyu steaks from Japan. The kind of steak that looks like a piece of white lace laid over a red tablecloth.
Yeah.
That's how much marbling is in it.
Comes with a mortgage note.
And if you tried to cook that on a grill, the melting fat would set it on fire, and you just wind up with a big flaming mess. So I took my cue from the way steak masters in Japan cook those A5 Wagyus, and they do them on a griddle. In Japan, it's called a teppan, Teppan. And I heated a portable griddle, just like you guys were describing, on my grill. Put the A5 Wagyu steak on it. Came out incredible. The outside crusty, the inside melting, luscious. It's fabulous. And so, like, a light bulb went off, and I thought, well, maybe there's something to this griddling thing. And then a few weeks later, I put my portable griddle on a charcoal grill, and I put some wood chunks on the coals, and I griddled shrimp. It was actually the shrimp dishes on the cover of the book, the shrimp and padron peppers. And, grilling shrimp is kind of a pain because the shrimp tend to dry out. And, if you're grilling 20 or 30 shrimp, it's a lot of tongue work to turn them.
Yeah.
So I smoke griddled the shrimp on my charcoal grill, and they too were amazing. Well, about this time, Weber and Traeger both came up with stand-up outdoor griddles, joining Blackstone. And for me, that was the light bulb moment. I said, you know what? This is going to be a big trend. This is a method of cooking I'm using personally. I think it's fantastic for certain foods. It'll never replace grilling, but it sure makes a great companion to grilling. And so that's the genesis of the book. I want to reassure your listeners that Steven Reichlin has not gone over to the dark side. I have not abandoned grilling in any way. I still have a dozen grills at my home, but I love griddling. It's a great way to cook.
I found that my family watches me do this more than they've ever watched me do anything on the grill. And they're the what my family calls the steakhouse meal, where you've got 2 or 3 proteins, you've got rice, and you've got vegetables, and there's a variety of sauces that you're using, and all of it comes out done at the same time. And I want to talk a little bit about setting up the griddle.
But I thought you said they called it the free meal.
Right. Well, they do, right? And or the seagulls, because it's like seagulls. If there's anything to eat, there's a flock of them around, and they show up at the house. But I wanted to talk to you about the recipes are wonderful, but what I found is very, very informative is you've got a page in the book that says the 10 lessons I learned as a teppanyaki chef in training. And these are kind of tried and true items that people need to know before they just throw some food on the griddle. So maybe just cover a couple of those that you think are the most important.
Sure, well, absolutely. And what you're referring to is a very interesting experience. The Benihana Steakhouse, Japanese steakhouse chain. So you can actually sign up for training as a Benihana chef for one day, which I did because I thought, I really want to learn this stuff from the inside out. And the first thing I learned is that, man, it is a lot harder than it looks, being a Benihana chef, I mean.
Yeah.
And that is keeping up an entertaining patter, cooking for 8 people, cooking 8 or 9 different things in one meal, ignoring rude diners who are yakking on their cell phones while you're doing this,
right.
Doing the cooking.
As you're trying to flip a shrimp into their mouth.
Right. Yeah.
Into the mouth or into the pocket, and I did not. I didn't master that, but I did learn a couple of interesting things, many interesting things. So, one is, like a grill that you would set up with a hot, medium, and cool zone, you set up a griddle the same way. You have one part of the griddle on high, one on medium, one on low. Actually, I have a 4-burner griddle at home, so I leave that 4th burner off. And the way you control the heat is kind of moving the food back and forth from the hot zone to the medium zone. You sear on the hot zone, you cook on the medium zone, you keep your food warm on the cool zone. And one of the advantages of griddles is that they're so big. I've got the 4-burner that's 36 inches. You can cook an entire meal on that. Another thing that's very important is seasoning your griddle properly. And when it comes home from the store, it will have a thin layer of industrial grease on it. Now, supposedly that's an edible grease, but you want to scrub that off with soapy water. And that'll actually be the last time you use soap on your griddle. Then to season it, you brush the griddle surface with oil, you turn the griddle on medium-high, and you let the oil cook on until the griddle goes black. Let the griddle cool completely. You repeat that process 4 times. What that does is it basically applies a very thin, nonstick layer of oil on your griddle. That's not to say you don't want to lubricate the griddle, which will bring me to the third point in a minute. But it's very important to season a griddle. And then, so what happens if you forget to cover your griddle, it rusts, or you heat it too high and you burn off the seasoning? Well, simply repeat the same procedure. You scrape it off, you apply fresh oil, you re-season it again. So, lubricating your griddle, oiling your griddle. Now, most of the griddle books tell you just to use, a neutral vegetable oil. But I have found you can really vary and amplify the flavor using other fats. So, for example, if I'm cooking breakfast, I'll take a cube of butter, I'll impale it on a fork, and I'll rub that across the griddle. And I'll actually cook my pancakes and my eggs in butter. Excellent flavor.
Right.
If I'm doing Asian food, I'll oil the griddle with sesame oil.
Yes.
If I'm doing Mediterranean food, I'll oil the griddle with extra virgin olive oil. So, there are a lot of fine points that kind of go into the art of griddling. It's not, it's not just throw the food on and take it off and you're done.
Hey, Stephen, I'm going to stop you midstream. We're going to take a break here, and we'll be right back. I just want to let everybody know you're listening to the Grillin' Guys on the Grillin' Guys Talk Network and on Jethro FM, and, of course, your podcast. We're talking with world-renowned author, barbecue chef, and one of the few guys I still look up to in the grilling world, and that is Stephen Reichlin. We're going to be right back.
Hi, this is Andy Havmeyer, operating owner of Hall Street Bakery, where we're more than just pastries. Join us for happy hour Monday through Saturday from 4 to 7, with 30% off brick oven pizzas and $1 off beer and wine. Enjoy your meal and drinks on our large outdoor patio, or even take your pizzas to go. Happy hour deals also available at our sister location, Wealthy Street Bakery, which is on the corner of Wealthy and Union. Check out our menus online at wealthystreetbakery.com and also at hallstreetbakery.com.
And now, back to the Grillin' Guys Show.
With the Grillin' Guys coming at you like a pit bull. We smoke butt, and it's a mittful. Shooting sauce on ribs is what men do. We like meat and no tofu. With me and John.
Welcome back. You listen to Grilling Guys on the Grilling Guys Talk Network. And if you're just tuning in, we got a real treat for you today. We have a New York Times best-selling author, Steven Raichlen, who wrote the Barbecue Bible, but his book that's out recently is called Project Griddle. And we've got him on the live line.
Yeah, and a couple of weeks ago, Stephen, we went through your ribs book again just because it's such a fascinating book. And I confessed right then that I said, this is one of the few guys I never question. And you can ask Jop, I question every chef we've ever had on. But you still kind of hold a high watermark. Even Guy Fieri falls down once in a while, but you're there, buddy. Take it away.
Well, thank you.
So if you're coming back, we were in the middle of the top 3 to 5 things you need to know about your grill. Pick it up where you left off, Stephen.
Okay. Well, the other point that I want to make, and I try and make in this book, is that there's more to griddling than just throwing the food on the hot metal. And in the book, I introduce a half a dozen different griddling techniques. One of them is steam griddling. Let's say you want to griddle broccoli or broccolini or a firm vegetable like that. While you're griddling it, squirt some water on the griddle. The water will, just a little bit, the water will boil and the steam will help cook your vegetable at the same time that you're browning it on the griddle.
Do you use a topper on that?
It was a great trick.
Do you use a topper on that?
Yeah, a little dome.
The second technique I want to talk about is using a griddle dome or a topper. And that's when you're cooking something thicker or that takes a little bit longer to cook, like let's say chicken thighs or a thick pork chop. And then you do want to put a griddle topper, or I call it a griddle dome, which is basically an inverted metal bowl with a handle on it, over the food. If you don't have one, you can use just a plain old metal bowl, inverted, and that will speed up the griddling time. Now, a third technique is what I call the divide and conquer technique. And let's say you want to griddle a muffaletta or a cubano or another thick sandwich, a Reuben, a beautiful thick sandwich. Well, for that, I split the sandwich in half. I start cooking the cold cuts griddle side down on a sheet of parchment paper or aluminum foil. That way you get the filling, the ham slices, the salami slices nice and crisp. You cook both sides separately, and then you put the sandwich together. So that's the divide and conquer method. That's really good. Finally, the method that I am most proud of is smoking on a griddle. And I actually figured out how to do true barbecue on a griddle. It involves wood pellets or wood chips or wood sawdust. I can't actually disclose it. You got to buy the book to find that out. But I do want to reassure your listeners that it is not only possible, but extremely desirable to smoke on a griddle.
Well, here's something I would like to suggest to our listeners. Father's Day is coming up, and every father is proud of his grilling, and he might be getting a griddle for Father's Day or got one last year. This is like the greatest present you could get Dad, because you're going to help him get up to a much higher grade of food prep and final product. And I knew that when I saw the Fragua. It's like one of the greatest things ever.
So, Stephen, one other thing so this is Father's Day. Maybe you've got the griddle, but the kids are looking to buy Dad something for Father's Day. Let's talk a little bit about your top 2 or 3 tools that you need for the griddle. So you got the griddle, but now I need what to make this working well?
Absolutely. So, well, first of all, you need an offset spatula. And an offset means that it's a spatula where the handle is about an inch higher than the flat blade. And ideally, you'll get a spatula that has holes in it so that you can let out the steam so you don't make your food soggy. You'll need a griddle scraper, which is, almost looks like a putty knife with a bent handle. And that helps you clean the griddle as you're griddling and after you're done. One tool that I really like is a point-and-shoot thermometer, and these are laser thermometers. that you can use to gauge the exact precise temperature of your griddle. You just basically push the button, a laser beam goes down, gives you the exact temperature reading. Griddle dome we talked about, that's a really nice accessory. Squirt bottles, those are really nice accessories, one for your oil, one for your water. A metal scrubber is a good thing. And that's really all you need. Unlike grilling, griddling, you don't need a lot of fancy equipment. That's another thing that's really appealing about it.
Stephen, I had a ghost kitchen for a bit, and it had a great big stainless griddle in it, flat top, that I loved. Mm-hmm. But with stainless, you have to really do a big job scrubbing that thing at night. It's not the same with black steel.
To the extent that your listeners have the choice, I would not buy a stainless steel griddle. I would buy a carbon steel or cast iron griddle because they season better. With stainless steel, you really need to – they have scrapers that have a little razor blade at the end, and you really need to scrape off all the residue in the stainless and start afresh every time you use it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and most of the residential grills are of the cast. Right? So
mild steel,
yeah. Yeah, so okay, Stephen, we'd be remiss if you took a lot of time putting together this book, and I'm looking at the contents, and you got breakfast, tapas, sandwiches, burgers, flatbreads, meat, poultry, seafood, vegetables, and dessert. We would like to talk to you about a couple of those and your recommendations on what you found out when you started making those kind of dishes.
Exactly, and just to remind people, we're talking with Stephen Reichlin right now in his new book called Project Griddle. Before we get rid of him or before he cuts us off, we want to go through all these different, you've got so many avenues. It's crazy. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's start with my favorite part of the meal, which is dessert. And we don't often or always think about griddling dessert, but in fact, the griddle is fantastic for a lot of desserts, starting with, one of my favorite dessert in the book. It's I call it peppered pineapple, and it's fresh pineapple slices that you brush with melted butter and then dip in granulated sugar that's been spiked with freshly ground black pepper.
Wow, looks so good.
Cook it on the griddle. If you do it right, the outside caramelizes, the inside stays cool and moist and crunchy. The little pepper gives you a little heat and unexpected aroma. And I like to serve that with a mezcal-flavored whipped cream.
It's kind of like Bob, a little sweet heat. That's what. That's
sweet heat. That's exactly what it is. Nicely said.
Yeah.
All right, so you can do dessert on your griddle. Give us you know what? The first thing that I was asked for by my family was breakfast on the griddle because it's like it just screams, this thing's going to be great for breakfast.
And that's a great point because when I first started selling grills like 20 years ago, we were teaching people how to do bacon. Yeah. No, you can't do that on a grill.
Right.
Stephen, how you doing for time?
I'm doing fine for time.
Okay.
You've got me until 9:30 if you need me.
We're going to hang on to you, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much to cover.
Throw the show plan out, Joppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So breakfast. Now, breakfast is probably the first meal that most people are going to cook on their griddle. Okay? That's... just how people get started.
We love breakfast.
By the way, the first time you use your griddle, once you've seasoned it, I recommend that you cook either bacon or sausage on the griddle because that just applies an extra layer of fat, which will help lubricate the rest of the food. Now, I have a couple really fun dishes in my breakfast show.
Hey, Stephen, let's hold on to those because we got to take a break real quick. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about those really fun dishes that are for breakfast. You're listening to Grilling Guys on the Grilling Guys Talk Network. We'll be back.
Barbecue Bob for Garrett's Appliance. Lots of folks are remodeling, and if you are, you owe it to yourself to go to Garrett's Appliance. They made my kitchen the perfect example of elegant and functional. Visit either location, 29th Street in Kentwood or 28th Street in Wyoming. Garrett's Appliance also has a super lineup of patio kitchen equipment, and you can count on their design team for a perfect outdoor grilling area. Visit Garrett'sAppliances.com. That's Garrett'sAppliances.com.
Hey, this is Job from the Grilling Guys, and I want to talk to you about my favorite butcher shop. It's Sobey Meats on the northwest side of Grand Rapids on Remembrance Road. This is a custom butcher. They'll cut any piece of meat that you want, any size, any way that you can dream of to make sure that your grilling experience is perfect. Sobey Meats smokes all their own meats. They've got kielbasa's and over 40 different flavors of brats. You got to try Sobey Meats on Remembrance Road. Tell them the Grilling Guys sent you.
With the Grilling Guys coming at you like a pit bull. We smoke butt, and it's a mittful. Backyard masters, barbecue blasters. Nobody smokes a T-bone faster. So when you see the Grilling Guy rig, hit the brakes, it's gonna be big. Stick around and put down the rake. Fire up your grill, there's no need to bake. You bring the party, we'll bring the smoke. You're gonna eat.
Welcome back, Yarless, the Grilling Guys on the Grilling Guys Talk Network. And we got Steven Raichlen on the line. If you're just tuning in, New York Times best-selling barbecue author, came out with a new book, Project Griddle. And we've covered a lot. If you missed it, you can catch it on a podcast or replay it. But we were just diving into breakfast on the griddle. Steven, we were just about to talk about your favorite couple items that you make for breakfast. Take it away, brother.
Okay, absolutely. Well, the first is a dish that I call dirty eggs, and it's the Raichlen version of a fried egg, basically. What I do, I finely chop fresh herbs like basil, tarragon, chives, rosemary, garlic, and I make a circle of melted butter on the griddle, and I sprinkle that herb mixture on the circle, and then I crack a fresh egg on top of it. And I fry the egg. And what happens is the bottom gets crusty, the herbs get, toasted, crusty, really aromatic. Then I flip the egg over, because I like my eggs over easy, cook the other side. And you wind up with a fried egg that has this explosively flavored crust on top. That's why I call it a dirty egg. Now, What else would I serve with that? I would do hash browns, which are classic, diner, greasy spoon breakfast. Excellent on the griddle. By the way, in mine, I put julienne leeks in the potato mixtures. That gives you a little extra flavor. Pancakes, another favorite, breakfast favorite on the grill. French toast, excellent on the grill. And by the way, in Spain, they have a dish called torrijas, which is French toast that is in the batter. They put wine as well as cream, and it's served as dessert with either powdered sugar or whipped cream.
You didn't even get the show plan. We were going to go through Spain's plancha.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did, and we'll come back to it. And that's kind of an important point because, all of my books, my deal is global grilling, and my deal now is global griddling. And I'm always looking at a particular tool or recipe in a global context. So when I started this book, I always do what I always do when I write a new book. I pack a suitcase. I went to Spain, to learn about the tapas culture. I went to Japan to learn about the tepan culture. I went to Italy to find out about their piastra and their piadina. Piadina, by the way, is a fantastic dish. It's a quesadilla, Italian style, made with Italian cheeses and mortadella. And at the end, you top it with a handful of fresh, crisp, peppery arugula. So you've got sort of hot and cold. You've got crisp and chewy. And that's one of my favorite dishes in the book.
Mm. Yeah. Arugula is such a nice surprise for a lot of people don't use it. But if you really want to bring in a little bitters or a little different profile and a beautiful display, arugula is just a great option. And there's a reason that the top or 10 of the top 100 or whatever it is Michelin restaurants are in Spain. So that's a great place to go and check out really great food.
So, Steven, in looking through the book, poultry is one that I wouldn't immediately gravitate to the griddle on. I'm interested in your take on that, just because I always want to get it done clear to the bone, and I don't want to overcook it. So help us out. If I was going to do like a chicken thigh on the griddle, what's that look like?
Well, chicken thighs are fantastic. When I cook a chicken on the griddle, and I have a whole chapter on it, obviously, not to mention duck, but it would either be a chicken breast or a chicken thigh, and ideally it would be a boneless chicken thigh.
Okay.
Because you're right, you want to cook it through. Your griddle dome helps with that, with the cooking. I also have another technique that I picked up in Italy, and it's based on pollo al matone, the classic Italian dish where you cook chicken under a foil wrapped brick on the grill.
Right.
I've translated that to the griddle, and the beauty of a griddle as opposed to a grill is when you cook chicken or meats on the grill, the juices fall on the coals, right? Now, some of them come back volatilized in the form of smoke, which adds flavor. But when you cook on a griddle, those juices stay on the griddle. So I find that a chicken breast comes out much more moist on a griddle than a grill.
Well, and it's fried chicken.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love fried chicken? We covered the brick chicken once. I tried it. I probably failed. I never tried it again.
Laid a brick.
It's fantastic, and the whole key here is flavor. I mean, one thing you'll notice about my food is I'm very flavor forward. I love big flavors, so grilled chicken breast that's flavored with garlic and hot pepper flakes and extra virgin olive oil, lemon juice and lemon zest, and rosemary and sage. Well, now you've got something.
Yeah. Here's something that Michigan, if you've been up here, we're surrounded by fresh water, which are loaded with salmon. And I love salmon on the grill. There's a little bit of technique, but I've not tried it on the griddle. And I see you've got a candied salmon, which is one of my favorite dishes. I make that in a cast iron skillet, but I've not done it on the griddle. So tell us a little bit about how because that's a delicate meat. You don't want it to stick. You're putting a sweet marinade on it.
You don't want to overdo it.
It has a tendency to get black too quick. Just give me a little tip on that, if you would.
And before you do you leave the skin on or take it off?
Yeah.
Depends. If I'm serving Mrs. Reichland, I take the skin off. If I'm just serving the guys, I leave the skin on.
What a good husband.
Yeah.
Right. No, actually, I'm so glad that you brought the conversation around the fish, because in a way, that was another kind of real entry point for me. If you think about a lot of fish, what's the chronic fear with grilling fish, right?
Yep.
A, it's going to stick to the grill grate. B, it's going to fall apart when you turn it. C, it's going to dry out.
And
the griddle eliminates all those problems. Now, salmon's fairly firm flesh, but if you're cooking a delicate flesh like let's say flounder or gray sole or something like that, you can't grill those. They're too fragile. To come back to the salmon dish, so that's kind of I'm playing with the idea of Japanese teriyaki, but I'm adding brown sugar to it, and you do it on a medium hot griddle, and this is where that zone griddle, the zone heat on the griddle comes in. But you want to take the sugar. You almost want to burn it, not quite, but you almost want to burn it. But the griddle, it keeps the fish moist, much moister than on a grill.
Right.
So sometime I'm going to have to visit you in Michigan and eat some of that freshwater salmon. I bet that's
it's
really
wonderful.
good.
Do you remember the portable stainless griddle that came out about 7 or 8 years ago at the HPBA show? The guy was from Georgia, but he was Spaniard from that area between Spain and France. I can't remember
the Basque Country.
The Basque Country. I mean, they do a ton of fish on a griddle. You have to have a griddle.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the great Spanish chef and humanitarian Jose Andres, who's one of the 3 or 4 most famous chefs in the world, got his start as a griddle chef in a restaurant in a seaside resort in southern Spain. And, it'd be like the equivalent of being a short order cook in the United States.
Isn't he in Chicago now?
No, he's everywhere. He has 40 restaurants around the world.
Wow.
He also runs World Food Kitchen, which is a fantastic humanitarian organization.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the. I'm glad you.
Griddle. It's heaven sent for seafood. And if you've always had problems with fish sticking to the grill grate or falling apart, the griddle is your answer.
So, what are your thoughts on the Basque region?
I love the flavors of Spain, and particularly of the Basque region. And in a funny way, they work with a simple palette of flavors, right? It's smoked paprika, garlic, sherry, wine, brandy, ham, the great hams that they use. So we're talking 4 or 5 ingredients, but those are combined in endless variations to make. I mean, in the Project Griddle book, in my tapas chapter, there's a tapas bar, mushroom with garlic and parsley and chorizo. There's the tapas bar shrimp, which are in the cover of the book, done with padron peppers and flambéed with sherry or brandy at the end. What I so admire about the Basque region is the explosive flavors they achieve with relatively simple ingredients.
Okay, you gave us license. We're going to put you on hold. We're taking another break, and we're going to torture you and make you stick around for one more segment. You're listening to the Grilling Guys. We got Steven Reichlin on the line. We'll be right back.
Fenn Valley Vineyards, located on the shores of Lake Michigan in Fennville, Michigan, 45 minutes south of Grand Rapids. It's one of the most beautiful, most picturesque vineyards in North America. This family's been making wine for over 40 years. You have to bring your friends and family to the tasting room and experience pure Michigan wine. Fenn Valley Vineyards.
Now hit me.
The Grilling Guys.
Welcome back. You listen to Grilling Guys on the Grilling Guys Talk Network. If you're just tuning in, you have missed a fantastic show, and I don't say that very often. But we are very, very fortunate to have Steven Reichlin with us, New York Times best-selling author, and we're reviewing his new book called Project Griddle. And he's been so gracious to stick with us through the whole show. We're not even touching the most of this book, but
Yeah.
Steven, thanks so much for sticking by with us. And the Midwest is huge on tailgating, and it's not just only during football season, but the griddle to me seems like just a normal piece of equipment that's portable and you can take it to the tailgate. Bob, you got thoughts?
Yeah, you're right, Job. And some guys might not have one small enough to tailgate with, but what they might have is a little portable gas grill or a little Smoky Joe from Weber.
Right.
Everybody's got a Smoky Joe. You
can put a cast iron skillet on it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Cast iron skillet is a griddle with sides on it.
It is.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about tailgating, your ideas on what to do and some of your wonderful recipes.
Well, sure. I mean, first of all, I've been talking about a lot of international dishes, but for most people, griddle, the first thing that comes to mind when you mention griddle is the smash burger. And the smash burger is the griddle food par excellence, and it's also tailgating food par excellence.
It's huge now.
Yeah, right. And if you think about it, okay, so you're grilling a hamburger on a grill, that's delicious, but you never want to press it because you don't want to squeeze out the juices because A, it will be dry, and B, you'll set your grill on fire. But with a smash burger, the whole idea is you do press it, you squeeze out the fat, and then the fat heats up on the griddle, and it fries the edges of the burger. So if you get a smash burger right, the edges will be crispy,
Yes.
the center will be, meaty,
Yes.
and it's fantastic. Now, in my burger chapter, speaking of tailgating, I've got a lot of really, really cool recipes. There's one for an au poivre burger, which is like making steak au poivre, but doing it on a burger thickly crusted with cracked black peppercorns. There are Middle Eastern burgers. There's a really cool Vietnamese, I call it Vietnamese meatball. It's a pork meatball that is flavored with fish sauce and lime juice and honey, and it contains rice noodles, chopped up.
Oh, nice.
So you serve it wrapped in lettuce leaves in the unlikely event that you want barbecue griddle health food at your tailgating party.
Yeah.
But
So
it's really again.
Oh, that sounds
all about
wonderful.
flavor.
That sounds wonderful. So we've had a long-standing relationship with Lodge, and I just had my Lodge, one of my big round casts out last night. It'd be perfect for a Smoky Joe, but I'm thinking if you're tailgating, you might want to do some burgers, but everybody always does hot dogs and brats too, and those are even easier on a griddle than they are on a grill because you can literally put a glove on and just roll them, and you can do bulk production. And Jop and I do some big events, and bulk production is sometimes a consideration.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. And one little tip with bratwurst and other thick sausages is to use that griddle dome because that'll speed up the cooking.
Great.
Again, you don't have to worry about split casings. You don't have to worry about, dripping fat causing grill fires. With my hot dogs, I do something a little bit unusual, and that is I cut the hot dog almost in half lengthwise and butterfly it open. And I do that so that you can brown the inside as well as the outside because
Texture.
to me, that, the Maillard effect and that browning, like brown is where the flavor is at. And then while you're butterflying your hot dog, you can fold it back together and insert some sliced jalapenos and pepper jack cheese. And you've just taken a hot dog and made it a really hot dog. So that's another of the cool recipes in the book.
So you've got all sorts of, I know, Barbecue University and all these things. I don't know where you're hanging your hat most of the time. I think you're ready to head out to the Cape this time of year. But do you have maybe online courses or YouTube videos or things like that you want to point people to, a store to buy one of your many books? I mean, I don't know how many books you've put out at this point, but do you
34, but who's counting?
Yeah.
No, sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, my sort of digital home base is barbecuebible.com.
There you go.
My website, barbecuebible.com. And, if you haven't been on the site yet, check it out. You can sign up for my Up and Smoke newsletter, which comes out twice a week. Absolutely free content, recipes, etc. In terms of buying the book, your local bookstore I would start with, or Amazon, or you can buy it on my website. If you want to follow me on social media, it's just Stephen Reichlin on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. If you want to, if you want to know about Barbecue University, that's my school at the Alisal Ranch in Sullivan, California. And if the Alisal sounds familiar, that was the backdrop for the last season of my show, Project Smoke, and the first season of my series, Project Fire. It's a beautiful 10,000-acre ranch in the Santa Ynez Valley of California.
Hey, Stephen,
And,
I want to pause and just remind my wife, if she's listening, that is the perfect Father's Day gift, okay? Okay, carry on.
Absolutely. Love to have you guys out for that.
Yeah.
It's super fun. It's a 3-day, 3-night sort of orgy of live fire cooking and food and griddling and that's in the morning, afternoon. You can go horseback riding, wine tasting.
Is that Central Valley?
Swimming, golfing.
Is that Central Valley?
It's the Santa Ynez Valley. It's about an hour north of Santa Barbara.
Oh.
Ooh, wonderful area. Wonderful.
Yeah, pretty country.
Yeah.
So at any rate, I mean, that's how to how to follow me. And, it's funny, we do look at every message on social media and every email we get to barbecuebible.com. I just actually heard this morning from some friends of my parents who hadn't seen my parents in 40 years, but they saw the name Reichlin and said, gee, we'd love to be in touch. So, so we do, we honor I honor my public. You guys enable me to have the greatest job on the planet. So, I thank you guys as journalists. I thank your listeners as buyers of my books. And what a wonderful field we're in.
Yeah, it is. And this is a passion and a hobby for Bob and I. You've made it a career, so you're the smartest guy I know in barbecue. But anyway, hey, Stephen, I don't know how you keep your girlish figure either. I see your pictures on the back of the book. I'm like, man, this guy is long and lean. I don't know how he does it, but he just barbecue is a wonderful thing. And I am so grateful to you for taking time today, all this time. And we are so lucky to have you as an advisor and a guest.
Well, thank you. The sentiment is mutual, and wishing everybody a happy Memorial Day and happy Father's Day.
Yeah, get out there and fire up a grill. All right, that's Stephen Reichlin.
Thanks, Stephen.
Hey, you guys do a great show. That was really fun.
Well, we're going to do it again because you just make it easy. Thanks so much.
Okay. Well,
Right.
I'll tell you what, just a little teaser here. I'm actually working on a memoir, and that'll be out in 2026. So we'll get back in touch with you. when that comes out.
Exactly. Love to have it.
Sounds
That'd be
great.
awesome.
Cool.
Sounds great.
All right, take
Thanks
care.
So much.
Thanks for your time.
Stephen Reichlin. Yeah, that guy has a world of experience in
Oh,
barbecue.
he's forgot more than I'll ever know about barbecue. I mean, he's made it his vocation and his passion for his entire life. So that's it's just really cool that he took an hour to spend with the Grilling Guys, and we really appreciate. And you know what, guys, get out there and check him out. And look at these books because they're written to be used. They're not a library piece. These are
Right.
working books.
My wife came into my office the other night and she said, "Why don't you get rid of some of these books?" And I've got this massive rack of
Right.
cookbooks.
Right.
And I was like, she goes, "You never look at those, do you?" I go, "Yeah, every week." I'm
Right.
pulling one of them out. And some of Reichland's books are in there. But this would be a great Father's Day gift. That's all I can say.
Right.
Even
And
if you have to buy it for yourself.
Yeah, because I guarantee you'll get one or two family favorite recipes out of there just by looking through it and seeing what's in there. And his great ideas and his ingenuity is amazing. You think you've barbecued it all till you get a book like this and you're like, wow, never thought of doing it that way.
And you can buy this for yourself for Father's Day, even if you don't think you're a father.
Right, yeah,
Could be.
exactly. Yeah. Just open the mailbox. You'll figure it out, right? But anyway, you've been listening to Grilling Guys on the Grilling Guys Talk Network. We appreciate you tuning in each and every week.
And don't forget to go to thegrillandguys.com. Check out our sponsors on the right-hand side. Check out the sales. Garrett's has got another sale coming up. You've got Sobe Meats. You've got, goodness sakes, all sorts of folks over there that you can spend your money with instead of the big box stores. And we thank you for joining us. This is the Grilling Guys. We'll see you next week.